Hey guys, welcome to today's lesson, which is about getting a consistent skin color for your characters. In this lesson, we are going to talk about getting a consistent over and undertone and certain things that you can do if you're having trouble getting a consistent skin color. Now, Midjourney is trained on millions and millions of images, so it's going to reflect some of the biases that you get from training something on a data set. It's biased because we're biased. I don't think it's a deliberate decision by the people who created it, but that's just something to keep in mind, and I'm just going to focus on some practical strategies that you can use to get your characters to look the way you want them to look. So let's get started. Midjourney often uses other cues like hair color and outfit to figure out a character's skin color. It has unpredictable responses to basic skin color cues. For example, asking for someone with olive skin can create any color from very pale to deep tan, and this is especially true for non-realistic styles like cartoons. A good example of that is right here, where we say lo-fi cartoon passport portrait of young woman with olive skin, and we have on the bottom right, she's got very pale skin. She looks kind of like she could be maybe French. And then on the top left, she's got kind of this tan color. And then the two other images, her skin color is kind of in the middle. And of course, her hair is different. In one, it's brown. In this one, it's black. I think in all of them, it's curly. But you can see, just from the word olive skin, we've got a range of different skin colors. So just one word can change the outcome dramatically. So here we've got a variation of the prompt we just did. It's lo-fi cartoon passport portrait of a young woman, curly red hair versus curly black hair. And you can see when she has curly red hair, she looks very pale. And not only is she very pale, but the color scheme is like very pale pinks and blues and kind of a very pale tan color. And it also changes the color of her eyes. She has green eyes, gray eyes, brown eyes. Whereas if we say she has curly black hair, again, we changed nothing else, just the word red to black. She has kind of light brown skin. She has very curly black hair that's either sort of chin length or shoulder length, all the way down to being very long. And she has black eyes. So it also changed the color scheme. Here the colors are, this is a fairly pale blue, but this tan, if you compare these two tans, this one is darker, and this pink, this could be the same shade of pink. I don't think they're exactly the same though, but the whole color scheme is a little bit different. So here's some of the issues you may run into when trying to get a consistent skin color. Skin color can change from one generation to the next. Cartoonish styles typically have two skin colors, pale white and light brown. Other elements change when you change the prompt, and these changes can reflect biases. For example, the expressions of your characters may start to look more angry if you ask for darker skin. That's not always the case. Sorry guys, I still have this sore throat. All right, and we're back. So, yes, sometimes if you're trying to generate an image of a character with very dark skin, they can start to look a little bit angrier if you ask their skin to look darker, even if nothing else changes. So that's something to keep in mind. Another example of bias or pattern that I've noticed is if you ask for an image of a woman with darker skin, even if she's not black or not African, it will very often give her hoop earrings, like very consistently. I'm not sure how to interpret that, but that's just something I've noticed. Okay, so skin color and bias. Here are some examples of bias. If you asked for a girl or woman by itself, a year ago you would almost always get a white woman with brown eyes and brown hair. With Midjourney version 3, that changed to quote-unquote Midjourney girl, who was a young woman with dark hair and eyes, pale skin, and kind of a Eurasianish look. Remember, version 3 is a little bit, it's not totally photorealistic, so it's hard to say exactly what she looks like, but that was the bias. The results are a little more, The results are a little more variable now, but they still show some bias. So if you compare the results for generating black woman versus beautiful black woman, results for the latter are a little bit lighter skinned, even if you use the same seed. And like I said at the beginning, Midjourney is trained on millions of images and their accompanying text. It is biased because we're biased. It's biased because the data set is biased. It would be very, very odd if it showed absolutely no bias at all. And you can eliminate much of this bias by being specific about what you want, using reference images and prompt weights, including negative prompt weights. And here's another example of image prompt bias in action. I took this image of a black woman with very dark skin, and I added lo-fi portrait, and the result was a girl who looks kind of like maybe Halsey, if you know who that is, but a woman who has somewhat like black features, but she's very pale skin. Like she has kind of, at most, like maybe slightly olive colored pale skin. So it exists. It's I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It does exist, but there are ways to combat it. So we're going to add some specific descriptors. For example, lo-fi portrait, dark skin. That eliminates most of that. Dark skin and blue background, if you want the image to have a blue background like the original one did. These results are already looking much better. Describe can also reflect biases. So when you run this image through Describe, I think at least one of these descriptions featured the word aggressive. And sometimes the generated images result in a very different look, but not always. I mean, this one is not that different. But sometimes when you generate an image, the generated image will have much significantly lighter skin, or it'll look significantly different in a certain way. This is another example. This is a model with very dark skin, and one of these generations has models who look considerably lighter skinned than she does. So that's another example of bias in action. And so I'm going to tell you some strategies to try to combat bias and get a better result that more accurately reflects what you want. So one strategy is to start with a one-by-one, a square portrait of your character, and begin with the most basic description you can think of. In this case, we have Grace Chang, a Chinese albino model. And if the character doesn't look right, try adding one token at a time to describe their appearance. You can be redundant. You can add the same token in slightly different words. Remember what we did with the all-white bull terrier in a lesson a little bit, where we added multiple ones. You can try adding square brackets or parentheses to emphasize part of the prompt, but you can add tokens. So we've got Chinese albino model Grace Chang in black dress. And here we've got some images of her. Remember, a token is an element or an idea, like watercolor of Paris at night. That's 3 tokens. You can add redundant ones, and this is especially true for long, detailed descriptions and non-photographic art styles. So here are some examples where on the left we only describe her as being Chinese right here. And so she doesn't look that Chinese. And then if we add more, where we say Chinese pale albino Asian woman, paper white skin, Asian features, Asian albino, she looks more Chinese in this one. And so that's an example of adding redundant descriptors to get a better result. And then you can also experiment with multi-prompts to emphasize certain features. Here we've got a multi-prompt for having East Asian eyes to make sure that she has that feature. And we've just added multiple prompts just to make sure we get the result that we want, instead of a result like this where she does not look like the character we've envisioned at all. Now this is a little bit challenging because we are telling Midjourney basically make a picture of a woman who has very pale skin and blonde hair, and potentially also blue eyes, but we want her to look Asian, which is a little bit unusual. There are people who have that description, but again, Midjourney is drawing from millions of images, so you may have to have multiple prompts to really emphasize what you're looking for and what you want. And you can also feed the images you like. The images that you've generated, you can feed them back into Describe and edit the result to get a good match, so you can get some more images of your character that you like. And then you can use the images that you like as image prompts. Here we're using this image of Grace Chang, and then we've got these 4 colons, and then we say setting is Muir Woods, and this is the result. This is pretty good, again, pretty good for a first draft, and it looks like basically what we want. She's got white hair, she's pale, she's got this sort of East Asian eye look. Now, most albinos have blue eyes. It's hard to tell if her eyes are blue or black here, but you could easily change that in Photoshop or Procreate or a tool like this. And obviously her outfit has changed dramatically, but this is a good starting point. And you can always create reference images that are just her face and have reference images for her outfit and then combine them in the same prompt. So that is a basic strategy that you can use to get a result that you like. Now here's some more notes on skin color. Just describing the skin color is not always enough for consistent results. Think of golden brown versus reddish brown. To get more consistent results, you want to describe the skin undertone, and you can compare it to something from the natural world like bone, white, walnut brown, onyx, gold, rosy, etc. This runs the risk of adding those natural elements to your image composition. For example, a woman is holding roses. If you want some more information about how to describe skin color, particularly in fiction, I would check out this post from Writing with Color on Tumblr. I will include a link in the show notes, but this can give you some ideas of how to describe skin color. We're also going to talk about overtone and undertone. All skin has an overtone and an undertone. Overtones can range from albino, which means you have no melanin, to very, very deep black, which is lots of melanin. Most people are somewhere in between. And then undertones, there's different ways of classifying undertones, but most people the most popular way to classify them is there are 4 undertones. There's warm, cool, neutral, and olive. Undertones are subjective, and they can look different depending on the lighting. But we're doing fiction, or we're doing either fiction or an adaptation of real life, so we're going to simplify it a bit. So we're just going to stick with these 4 undertones. Here's a link about undertones. I will include it in the show notes so that you can take a look and see how it works. So here's an example of a warm undertone. This is Halle Berry, who is a very famous American actress. You can see when she's wearing this cool tone blue dress, it kind of washes her out. I mean, she's a very, very beautiful woman, but this dress is not really helping her the same way that this beautiful red dress is. It looks much better. It makes her look warmer, rosier. And so this is one way among many you can know that she has kind of a warm undertone to her skin. Some other celebrities with a warm undertone would include Britney Spears, Jessica Alba, Rihanna, Kelly Clarkson, Megan Fox, Michael B. Jordan, and Brad Pitt. All of them have very warm undertone to their skin, and they look better in kind of warm undertone outfits. Cool undertone, well, unfortunately, again, PowerPoint messed this up. So we've got Aishwarya peeking from behind her own picture here, but you can see hopefully she's wearing this yellow, and it is not really, I mean, part of it is just it's a weird outfit. It's just a bizarre design, but she looks much better with this kind of cool toned berry colored lipstick and dress, and the cool toned silver eyeshadow and all that. It's a much more flattering look. This is an example of a cool undertone. So Aishwarya Rai is another example of someone with a cool undertone. Princess Diana is a very classic example. Margot Robbie from the Barbie movie. You've got Iman, the Somalian supermodel. Zooey Deschanel, Jennie from Blackpink. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if all the women from Blackpink have kind of a cool undertone, but I know Jennie does. And then you've got Lupita Nyong'o, the actress, and Pierce Brosnan, the 1990s James Bond. All of these people, very classic, cool undertone to their skin. Then you've got a neutral undertone, which means you generally look just as good or nearly as good in both warm and cool toned outfits and makeup. Most neutral undertone people lean to one or the other. So, for example, we've got these pictures of Zendaya in cool and warm outfits. She generally looks a little bit better in cool toned outfits, but she still looks pretty good in warm toned as well. And she looks good enough that you can say that she has a cool neutral undertone. So some other examples of people with neutral undertones. Jennifer Aniston is a very classic example of someone with a neutral undertone. She can wear almost any color and it will look good on her. Beyonce is another good example. There's Kerry Washington. There's Nancy Ajram, who's I think she's a Lebanese pop singer. All of them have a neutral undertone and they look good in cool and warm toned outfits. And then you've got your olive undertone, which is where the undertone of your skin has kind of a golden, greenish, or grayish undertone to it. And some examples would be like Selena Gomez. You can see in this picture of her with the hot pink lipstick and the hot pink outfit, it doesn't look good. It kind of washes her out. It's not flattering. But here she's got kind of a more, a different color lipstick, more of a nude colored lipstick, and she's wearing black, and it's a much nicer, much more flattering colors for her. So some examples of people with an olive undertone are Mila Kunis, Cindy Crawford, Selena Gomez, as we can see, Salma Hayek, Katie Holmes, Rami Malek, and this is a little bit different from warm undertone. There are people who have kind of like a warm olive undertone, but remember, we're making fiction, so we don't have to worry too much about these fine gradations. But just know that olive and warm are a little bit different from each other. So yeah, this is an art. It's not a science. There are different ways to classify skin overtones and undertones, like color seasons, the shade of the undertone. Is it pinkish? Is it yellowish? Is it grayish? And so on. Some people do have an undertone that is in between two categories, or their undertone looks different in different settings, different lightings. But remember, fiction is much simpler than real life. So you can choose a static over and undertone for your characters. So over and undertone can change the composition. In this one, we say that she is pale olive skin, and in this one we just say that she is olive skin, and you can see not only has her outfit changed, not only has the style of composition changed, her skin color has changed, and the art style is much more, to me this looks more like a kind of Bible stories for kids illustration, and this one looks a little bit more like ancient Greek anime. And that's all this is using the same seed, we just changed one word. So that can definitely affect the composition. And also, darker skin colors may need more fine-tuning than lighter ones. So to get this woman to have this dark skin, we had a lot of different descriptions of her skin, where we say she is blue, black, dark skin, Senegalese young woman, ink black skin. We also have her wearing this fully blue outfit to kind of draw that out. And then we have a negative prompt for mixed race, light skin, brown skin, white skin. That is slight negative prompt, negative 0.2. And but that is how we were able to get this picture of this woman to look like she has the darker skin color. So it's unfortunate, but that's how you get the result that you want. You can also add image prompts. Remember to add the image prompts after you've generated your initial character sheet, but then you can add the images, and that can get you closer to the type of image that you want. And you can add more redundant descriptions, as I said before. You can also use over and undertone descriptions to get finer gradations. So we have here a Greek queen with curly russet brown hair, pale olive skin versus gold olive skin. You can see this, even though we have the same seed, she definitely has a different look. Here she's more pale, here her skin is more gold, and of course it's affected the background. The background went from being these kind of pale tan colors or pale creamy colors to kind of a dark brown, a deep russet brown. There's some gold detailing, gold ornamentation. But this shows you how one word can change the look and feel of your prompt. And there's some more examples of overtone and undertone. We have golden brown here. We have dark brown over here. I don't know why these are different sizes. This is joys of working with PowerPoint. I think what happened is I changed this to another layout, and some things got messed up. But here's another example where you can add more details and subtract others to get closer to the example that you want. So here we have the negative prompt is passport, European, light brown skin, has a weight of negative 0.3, just to make sure that she has darker skin color. And then we can add some more lo-fi. We can say lo-fi passport portrait of Afro-Arab student with curly black hair, dark brown, olive skin, neutral background. And then we have another prompt with girl with dark brown skin, olive undertones. And then the passport European, blah, 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 is a negative prompt. We have gone away from the lo-fi style and are more painterly and realistic. We can use very subtle and edit the prompt to return to that style. So what you do is you go down here, you click on very subtle, and then you change it to a, you can change it, and then now you go back to the lo-fi style a little bit more. All right, and then we can use this image here and put it in a scene where we have this image URL, and her name is Noor. That's the name of this character. And then we have an image of a library, and we say setting is UC Berkeley Doe Library, daytime. And then we say action is Noor reading a book, and we add cel-shaded animate, bright lighting, cool color palette, and this is the result. So we get a pretty good result for what we're looking for. We can also use Insight Face Swap. We can take this image of our character, add it to Insight Face Swap, and then use it to put her face on the face of these other images to make sure that the face is consistent. And we can also use Insight Face Swap to add detail to the character sheet. We just right-click on this image, go down to Apps, click on Insight Face Swap, and then a few seconds later, it'll add our images of our character with the face of the character that we like. So let's recap what we've learned so far. So to generate a consistent skin color, include overtone and undertone. Undertones are cool, warm, neutral, and olive. You can include multiple skin tone and ethnicity tokens throughout your prompts to make sure that you get the result that you like. You can also use image prompts to nudge the generation one way or another. Be specific and be redundant. Redundant just means repeat yourself. Add more than one description, of their skin color or of their hair texture or whatever kind of look you're going for. And Midjourney reflects many of the societal biases present in the United States and the world at large. It is trained on millions of images with accompanying text, so it would be a miracle if it showed absolutely no bias. It would be nice, but unfortunately it does. And so to counter this, remember to be specific and redundant, and tell Midjourney what you want and tell it more than once. So your homework is to generate a character sheet and a portrait using the overtone and undertone for their skin. Experiment with changing the overtone and undertone while keeping everything else consistent, such as the seed, the stylization factor, everything else in the image. And also, you want to look at the Insight Face Swap to add something to this, and you can watch the demonstration video where I'll show you how you can get some images of your character. And, of course, you can install Insight Face Swap on your server. So that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye.